Hi, folks. I'm Mark Gregston of Parenting Today's Teens and Heartlight. Through all of our mediums, we've been asking people questions. And that question has been, hey, if you want to ask us a question, we've got plenty of time to sit back and give you some answers. And I'm in town for the next 5 months. Most of my speaking engagements and travel arrangements have stopped and been postponed to a later time. So I get to take advantage of saying, well, then what am I going to do all this time? And so I get to hang out with all the kids at Heartlight. Most of you know I live with 60 high school kids that come from all over the country and with another 40 staff. And so we live here at a place called Heartlight. So I'm always having to deal with kids. And if you're like us, like every other family in the world, you're finding that this whole coronavirus thing kind of threw a wrench in the works that changed the way that we engage. So most of the questions that people were asking had to do with everyday life. Well, it's not everyday life. This is unprecedented in what has happened, and so I want to speak to that. But one of the questions was this, and I'm going to read it here just to make sure that I get it, because it's a very important question. How do I get my teen to have motivation during this time? When there is no need to get up for school, sports, or work, and they want to stay in bed all day? How do I help my teen with their understanding of loss? They are losing the rest of the school year that included sports and prom and graduation. How do I help my teen understand that God is still listening? I get a lot of, well, if God cared for me, he would let me finish my senior year. It's so important to me. Or I've prayed for God to stop this virus, and it just seems to be getting worse. Those are probably pretty good questions, aren't they? Now, all my answers are kind of focused on teens because that's kind of my world of expertise. And the first thing that I jump to is that our kids are living in unprecedented time. I can't remember any other time other than when a president got assassinated, or there was a flu in a particular area, school area, that somebody got out of school for a few days. And I grew up in New Orleans where we had hurricanes, and of course we'd get out for a week or a couple of weeks. And we lost our home in a tornado once, and so we didn't have to go to school for a week. But never like this. I mean, when you begin to think about it, now kids are really out of school for the rest of the year, and so they're going to have a 5-month summer, which means a lot of time of them being at home with you. And what I'm reminded of here is that the tendency is we always want to give our kids answers about everything. And the one thing when I say move from a teaching mode of those preteen years to a training mode, we've got to quit giving all the answers and start giving a lot more of the questions. So when a child says, well, why isn't God paying attention to me? Why would he have me miss my senior year? The answer may be, I don't know. I know he cares for you, but I just don't know. Well, I've prayed for this virus to stop, and it hasn't yet. I don't know. There's something about that I don't know, meaning that I'm not going to be giving all the answers, but the encouragement is that I've moved my child to start developing responsibility in their life and start searching for answers. That scripture that says, you will search for me and you will find me when you search for me with your whole heart. What we're wanting to do is to teach kids to search for themselves. It's kind of like this. Most parents are sitting at home going, I am running out of things to do. We've been going like this for 5 weeks, and I don't know what else there is. We've been together all the time. I'm hating my kids. I'm joking. We face challenges. We haven't seen things like this before. There's all the added responsibilities. I am so sick of cooking. It's unbelievable. But this is what's happening is all of the things that we would do to engage kids, we're now running out of those opportunities. And you know what? That's good. Because when we as parents quit trying to do everything for our kids, perhaps our kids will start to realize they need to start doing some things for themselves. Now, of course, if it's a preteen from 12 years and younger, that looks like one thing. But for those kids that are 13 and older, we want them to start assuming responsibilities for their life. We want them to start engaging differently. And you and I have that opportunity. So there's 2 things that are happening. You've been praying for opportunities to spend more time with your kids. Now you have it. Now you're praying that they would go back to school because you're tired of spending time with your kids. Well, that's not going to happen. And because you're running out of resources in one sense to always entertain them, or you aren't able to do the things you've always been doing with your kids, now maybe it's time to help them start taking care of themselves and developing more responsibility for their own life. And so my question, or really my answer to people is, we need to create a relational atmosphere for that to happen. So that a child knows, as I start to ask more responsibility from them and have them take responsibility and control for their life, that it's done within a relational environment that affirms who they are and what they're doing, and still has a way of moving toward them to still remain a parent in their life and not just let them go and do whatever they want. So the first thing I would tell you is this. You've got another 6 weeks to go before school's out. So you need to establish some expectations now of what you want. You've been out for 5 or 6 weeks. You've got another 5 or 6 weeks of school. So I would say that's one of the number one expectations. It's going to be this. We're going to finish our schoolwork in 6 weeks. And so it's spending so many hours a day to do that you're the teacher, probably more so than the mom or the dad, but you're the teacher to help them get through it. And you're going to crack the whip. And that's just understood. Once we get out of the way, it's over with. We're done. We don't have to go through and do this all summer. The second thing is, when the summer does come, I want you to get a job. There's something about work that helps a child understand about authority from somebody else. They learn to serve somebody else. They learn the value of a dollar, which is so important. I mean, the number one thing that we ought to be training our kids for, that they will be challenged for when they get married one day, is finances. And the earlier we can start, the better we'll be. I remember my granddaughter, who's now 19. When she was 16, she got her first paycheck. And she held the paycheck in her hand, and she looked at me and she goes, "Is this all I get? Is this all I get?" And I thought, what a beautiful lesson she's learning. And so get a job. And I wrote down some things that kids can do, even with all this stuff where we're separating and isolating but they can walk dogs, they can clean houses, wash windows, they could detail cars, organize closets, pet sitting, cleaning pools, growing flowers or planting flowers, mowing yards, painting houses. There's a lot of things that kids can do to earn money and work for somebody else during this time. And I think it's important to say, I want them to do these things and I want them to become responsible, but I'm also very conscious of what they've lost. I mean, those kids that are losing sports and graduation and prom, I can't tell you how traumatic that is. It's amazing to me that these kids will forever be marked by not having those things. So this is where I would encourage you parents to do this. Get together, put on your own prom. Whenever the time is right, have somewhat of a graduation or an opportunity to engage your child a little bit differently, to let them know that you understand that they have had a loss in their life. And you can't always solve that loss, but you can help celebrate who they are and the accomplishments that they've had. The third thing I would do is really encourage you to sit down with your kids and say, okay, what are we going to accomplish over the next few months? That's not corona. That's just a cough. Allergies in East Texas. What are you going to do physically, musically? What are they going to read? What type of shows are they going to watch and binge watch? What kind of plans are made? Are you going to do anything special? The fourth thing is, what are you going to do about your family time? Do you have that special time together where you can get together, but then other times where you can get apart from each other? I mean, I've been at home every night. I usually spend 200 nights on the road. I've been at home every night for the last 6 weeks. I want you to know I love my wife to death. We've been married 44 years. We've been together for 50 years. I'm running out of things to talk about. I mean, I've been making up stuff. I'm joking. But I'm just going, okay, you can only watch so much TV and cook so much food and do so much, and I'm realizing, okay, what are some things that we can do to engage differently? Maybe it's going on a camping trip. Maybe it is cooking together. Maybe it's letting them come up with a meal rather than you always coming up with a meal. That binge watching of certain shows on TV may be a great thing, a great opportunity for you all to get together and you stay up till 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. And then you sleep in the next morning as well as your kids. It may be that you go play paintball, you run, you jog, you do volunteer work for somebody else and give them the opportunity, your kids the opportunity to be involved and engaged in the life of somebody else. It becomes important during this time that you create this relational atmosphere, but one that is transferring responsibility to them and letting them be responsible for themselves so that you don't have to carry the burden of always entertaining, always cooking, always cleaning, always, because you're going to wear yourself out as a parent and you're going to go crazy if you haven't already done so already. Let them take some of it. It's a perfect opportunity. Figure out more time to spend together. This becomes important. Learn to relax, to stop. Moms, it's okay for you to say this. Everybody fend for yourself tonight. I'm not cooking a thing. The other thing would be learn to laugh. Do something where you get to sit around and laugh. Tell stories or something. Have discussions about disrespect, dishonesty, or disobedience. And just say this, hey, what would it look like for somebody to be dishonest within our family? What do you think it would feel like to have somebody be disobedient when you've told them something? Hey, when was the last time you've lied? When was the last time you didn't tell the truth? When's the last? And everybody share. Because there's something about that. And the lesson to learn here is that disrespect, disobedience, and dishonesty has an amazing way of ruining relationships. And so spend some time talking. Take advantage of the time that you have. Because I guarantee you this, we will all one day say this, I'm going to miss this. And I'll tell you, you're going to miss it. You'll miss the opportunity you have with your kids. And you'll go, God, I wish we had that time that we used to have. So take advantage of it. And for you as a mom or dad, I would tell you this, engage differently. Just engage differently. Relax a little bit. You don't have to be so intense all the time. Set days for everybody to sleep in. You don't have to have every minute filled with some kind of activity. Let them kind of slow down a little bit. Now don't let them go overboard and watch 24 hours of movies and then they jump from there to video games and they play all that. And they ignore and don't talk to anybody. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is you develop some kind of structure where kids know the expectations and you start lining those out and then you relax with that because you've lined the expectations out. Let them stay up a little bit later, but don't let them get out of the responsibilities that you've all agreed to that they would take. And then reward them for fulfilling those responsibilities. Monetarily, extra whatever they want, either time on a video game or more gas in the car or you'll continue to pay for their cell phone as long as they complete these responsibilities. And here's a couple of things I would tell mom and dad. Hey, Dad, while your child's at home and you're spending all this time together, don't try to fix them all the time. You and I have this ability to want to fix things all the time. Somebody comes to me and they say, I have a problem. I go, well, I've got the answer. I'm going to give it to you right now. And within 15 minutes, it's over with. It's kind of like you got to do it my way. Well, you know what? I don't want everybody to do it my way anymore when I have a teen. I want them to figure out how they can do it. So I'm not going to fix them. They're not going to be fixed this side of heaven. But the opportunity to say, you know what? I'm not going to fix them. I'm just going to continue the discussion. We get this idea that every 15 minutes when our discussions are over, we've got to have the answer to give somebody rather than thinking that this discussion that you're having with your teens is going to last the rest of your life. It's just the same discussion. It's just about different topics and at different times and in different places. So carry on the discussion. Because I know this, I have so many young ladies tell me, my dad tries to spend all his time fixing me. So I feel like I'm broken all the time. And I hear young men saying, my dad just wants to fix me. That's it. He wants me to be perfect. And it pushes them away. Moms, quit talking so much. Just quit talking so much. Because this is what happens. It's like me watching Fox News or anything else that's intense and rapid, and I'm kind of an ADD kind of guy. But I get tired and worn out. There's so much information that's bombarding me that I got to quit. I got to quit. I got to turn it off. And what happens when moms have this amazing way, and grandmas too, have this amazing way of just throwing out more information, more information. Well, our kids are getting so much information, they're turning you off. And every man that's watching this video right now knows this, that any one of you women, any one of you possesses more wisdom than all the men watching this right now. And if your kids cut you off because you're just dumping information all the time and not wisdom, they will never hear the wisdom that you possess that they greatly need. So know your position. It's a little bit different. It's easy to share information the first 12 years of their life. What they want now is wisdom. Scripture says that even a fool appears wise when he keeps his mouth shut. Because what you're wanting to do is draw your kids to you. You know why you're worn out, moms and dads? It's because you're spending all your time trying to figure out how to get to your kids. And when they move into the teen years, the goal now is to get them to come to you. What are you doing to draw them to you? And what you have to do is stop fixing them, stop talking, stop giving all the answers all the time, stop controlling them, stop taking responsibility, transfer those things to them. And then what you'll find is that the Christian life is taught well during those early years, but it is caught during the teen years. And when you create an atmosphere that's relational, you talk about things, you take advantage of your time, you set the expectations. I think what you begin to realize is you're creating a home of rest. You're creating a place of relationship. And you are creating a home that demands that everybody become responsible. Rest, relationship, and responsibility. Those are 3 keys that you need in your home. Now, do this. Keep washing your hands. Don't touch your face. Don't touch somebody else's face. Isolate yourself. Make sure you have a good stash of toilet paper somewhere in case it all falls apart one day and we can't get toilet paper. Do all those things. Isolate. Love on people from a distance. Zoom more. Spend more time communicating. Just as your kids are going to be spending a lot more time on their phone than they have been in the past. But take advantage of the time. And I guarantee you this, God's going to use you in a mighty way during this challenging time that can be one of the greatest opportunities your family has had in a long time.